Radio Bocconi, Radio Bocconi, Radio Bocconi.
Play it loud, play it loud, play it loud.
Salve, benvenuti a tutti i nostri ascoltatori di Radio Bocconi. Siamo qui dal Teatro alla Scala insieme alla pianista Tamara Stefanovich in occasione dell'inizio di Milano Musica, del concerto di apertura. So, first of all, let me thank you for the time you are giving us. And let me say that your performance, I found your performance especially dazzling and exquisite. And I found that you put a lot of sentiment into something that may be at times perceived as a bit maybe cold, rather cold. So first of all, a question about your program. You played pieces by both Messiaen and Stockhausen in a way as if the two were almost interchangeable, as if the two were almost the same unique long piece. What do you feel is the connection, the most important connection between these two composers?
I think the work that they do with the sound and the acoustic is extraordinary. Of course, each one of them in a different way. With Messiaen, he works with the nature, so the sounds of the words. He does with the Indian rhythms. So he divides time as we know it, not in symmetrical portions, but asymmetrical, like in Indian classical music. With Stockhausen, you have almost a new galaxy. So it's someone who is really so daring and courageous and brave, and he goes so far. Now, to come back to what you said at the beginning, this notion that new music, or this is old music actually, but the music of the 20th century could be called, I think it's impossible. I've talked to neuro scientists, and they told me that each person, all the time, except when you are on very heavy drugs or dying, but even then, these are the only two moments when you don't have emotions. So for a human being to separate brain and emotions, it's impossible. Which means, why is it challenging, the new music? I think because we are not prepared to be discovering new things, but we want always to hear the same thing. And then when we can't recognize something, we just push it away. So I think we should be a bit more like a child discovering a new object and having this enthusiasm to want to learn something new and to not always be like you want to hear always the same kind of thing played in the same way, presented in the same way. I think that's not art.
I agree. So since we are talking about this, the fact that new music may be perceived as challenging to the listener, what do you feel is the best way to render the youth, young people, which may be especially distant from this, to render them eager and to make them want to discover this kind of music, which sometimes is perceived as niche music, only for an elite of people who may understand it?
Personally, I never had a bad experience with young people. I made a project with a piece by Boulez, played from girls between 12 and 15. They had no problem with this. And they were very proud because they said, this is music of my time. So I think this connection to what are we on this planet? Until the 20th century, only music from that time was played. So in Mozart time, no one was playing Bach. In Wagner time, not many people were playing Beethoven. What does it say? That the connection between art and the people was much stronger. Of course, with new music, you have the problem that the amateurs can't play immediately some of the pieces, but they need to take more time to discover them. And I think that wanting to be a human being that is present here in 2016 and being proud of what we have and as an artistic heritage is the first thing. To connect that we are living now. We're not living 50 years ago, we're not living 100 years ago. And wishing that we were doesn't bring us anywhere. I think to have the freshness and the spirit of a pioneer and adventurer. Otherwise, why create and why live?
So thank you. We hope now that your experience, your way of playing, and also these kind of festivals and initiatives may bring people closer to this kind of music, which, as you say, is our music because it's in our time. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your enlightening insight into your music. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Your music.